Production support for Local Roots provided by
Gulf winds blow through canopy roads all the way to Thomasville. The native names written on the land echo through the red clay hills, where the scent of longleaf floated pine reach up on past that Georgia line. Stroll through Tallahassee town or southern Appalachia bound. Take the local routes and journey down the roads we call our home.
Coming up on WFSU Public Media's Local Roots. We take a journey through food, starting with how an overabundance of fruit in your backyard can be a good thing for others.
Every year I felt guilty because I had tons of fruit left over.
Plus, we explore how the science of gardening is helping some students get on the right track. And a fork in the road lifts a glass to micro-brewing. Local Roots is next on WFSU.
Take the local routes and journey down the roads we call our home.
Welcome to Local Roots. I'm Suzanne Smith with WFSU Public Media, and today I'm at the demonstration gardens at the UF IFAS Leon County Extension Office on Paul Russell Road in Tallahassee. They'll be hosting a spring open house here on May 13th, and I'll have more on that in a little bit, but first I want to talk about food, specifically for this first story about the type of food found in orchards like this one. Growing citrus in Florida is a proud tradition that goes back hundreds of years, but as anybody with a fruit tree can tell you, there's only so much you can eat without help. WFSU's Haley Talks introduces us to a new local program that helps home gardeners share their backyard bounty with the community.
Yeah, it looked like some small orange up here on, I see citrus now all the time now that I started doing this. They stand out to me. And then there's another one around the corner. But I'm hoping they sign up. So next year, obviously they're not picking their fruit. Next year maybe we can give it to a food pantry. I'm Tabitha Frazier, and I'm the Executive Director of the Leon Fruit and Nut Exchange. The Leon Fruit and Nut Exchange is an urban gleaning program that was started here in Leon County, Tallahassee, Florida, and the purpose of it is to eliminate food waste and to actually move food forward to people in need. Homeowners that have fruit or nut trees or even gardens in their backyard that they might have an abundance of food that is just going to waste, they can sign up to the Fruit and Nut Exchange and pay that food forward. Often people will plant fruit trees and in a few years they have an abundance, more that they can give away. And that's where this program started, because I myself have a property that I have 6 fruit trees on. I have neighbors with fruit trees, and we were always giving it away to each other and trading, and every year I felt guilty because I had tons of fruit left over. And so I created the exchange to solve not only my excess fruit problem, but other people's problems that might have that, and then we're moving it forward to people that need it and want it.
My name is Glenda Raby. I'm a native Floridian, and I've lived in Tallahassee for over 30 years. I grow grapefruit, white and pink grapefruit, Myers lemons, satsumas, oranges, calamandins, blueberries, blackberries, various herbs, eggplant, bell peppers, cucumbers. Oh, and in the winter, I grow collard greens and mustard greens. And I was actually out delivering Meals on Wheels in past January 2017, and I was listening to Perspectives on WFSU, and Tom Flanagan was interviewing Tabitha Frazier. She started talking about the new Fruit and Nut Exchange. And I thought, what a fabulous idea. I had been taking some of my satsumas and grapefruits and lemons to people on my route because I had so much fruit. And I kept thinking, there's got to be a way to take this fruit to more people.
What we're trying to do with the Fruit and Nut Exchange is actually fill a deficit. A lot of food pantries run off dry goods, day-old bread, grains, different things like that. It's very difficult to get actually fresh fruit. Currently, I deliver every Tuesday and every Friday to pantries. If it's a Friday, what I actually do is I've been delivering to Springfield Apartments, which is actually a public housing unit here in Tallahassee, and they run a youth group every single day after school. They have loved all the kumquats and satsumas and ruby red grapefruits that I've been able to bring in.
Having fresh fruit at the after-school program is really the bomb, I tell you. I'm so gratified by that because I see the children and I see the changes, that they're eating fruit. Many of them were not eating those fruits before. And the fact that now they're eating these fruits, grapefruit, who wants grapefruit? Okay, a Fruit and Nut Exchange is something that I've been very fascinated by since I talked to Tabitha.
Oh, I love these. I never eat so many grapefruit.
We talked a year ago about what if, how could we, bring more fresh food to communities? The response has been overwhelming. People are excited. I think it's the children that make a lot of the difference because their expression of joy and the fact that they're learning about new tastes. To have families exposed to fresh fruits and vegetables in your own area, that's amazing. That's an amazing thing. If we are more than a mile away from a grocery store that's accessible, then you typically are termed a food desert, meaning that there's not a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables available to you in that area. And in our community where we have families who may not have access to transportation, and so in that sense, it makes it harder to access fresh fruits and vegetables. We worked with diabetes and chronic disease management for many years with the Greater Frenchtown Revitalization Council. And in that council, we realized that diabetes was a big, big problem. We were finding 9-year-olds with type 2 diabetes, and that was very unusual. So the whole initiative around obesity grew up out of that. And of course, there was food again. There's always the food thing kept coming up. Maybe they're not getting what they need from home. So we had to find ways to supplement that, to keep them on the track so they can think and graduate and stay in school. Because if you're hungry, it's hard to do all those things,
It shouldn't be a privilege. It should not be a privilege for people to have healthy food. And if those of us who have the means to help provide healthy food to our neighbors who are in need, we should do so. People want to help, they want to do the right thing, and they have to be reminded a few times maybe, but everybody wants to help, everybody wants to be a part of the solution, especially for hunger, and they might not realize that they have a tool right in their own backyard.
At the time this segment was recorded, 6 weeks after the first harvest, the Leon Fruit and Nut Exchange had registered 27 households and moved almost 3,000 pounds of food. You can learn more about the program at leonfruitandnutexchange.org. Gardening is science. That's what students at the Department of Juvenile Justice in Leon County are learning as they grow food for their cafeteria. WFSU producer Rob Diaz-de Villegas visited their greenhouse, where aquaponics is opening a whole new world of STEM careers for students who want to get back on track.
You see this, the size of this turnip? I like making sure that my plants are healthy. I see a turnip right in front of you. You want to pull that one? And I like helping kids.
No, don't pull the leaves. You gotta pull it. Take it like that and pull it all the way up.
And I like getting to wake up and farm. I like system design. When you're a kid growing up, you think, oh, I'm gonna be a lawyer or an accountant or an astronaut. Nitrification happens in your beds. I didn't know that I could do this. I didn't know that I could be a scientist or an engineer, but yet here I am.
We're at the Department of Juvenile Justice in Leon County. Here, they're trying to engage students in STEM fields by letting them get their hands a little dirty.
I come in every Thursday and I teach them a STEM lesson. I use the aquaponics system as a tool to teach STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. And it gets converted into
Nitrogen,
nitrate, and
nitrate.
then nitrate. The DJJ wanted to do something for the kids. They wanted to do something that would get them outside and that would get them more engaged. they have a couple minutes to play basketball in the courtyard. Other than that, they're stuck inside.
They love being outside more, just not on the courtyard, but in the garden, playing in the dirt, playing with plants and learning different things. And the fish, that's what excites me the most.
They wanted to utilize their space. They wanted to do something. They wanted to build a garden. And now we are doing farm to cafeteria again with kale and turnips. So this is now the second time that the Juvenile Detention Center in Leon County has done farm to cafeteria. And that's the best.
We had some Siberian kale and I sauteed it up with chicken broth and garlic. Yeah, it's pretty interesting because the kids are involved, and that's always great.
The food they harvested came from a traditional outdoor garden, but it's in their aquaponics setup where Michelle gets deeper into science and technology.
Aquaponics is a sustainable farming method. What we do is we keep a reservoir that we keep our fish in. Those fish produce ammonia. And we pump that water that the fish live in into our biologically active packed beds, which is essentially a raised garden bed that is filled with gravel. And those rocks provide a surface area for bacteria to colonize on. And that bacteria converts the ammonia into nitrite and then into nitrate, and nitrate is nitrogen. And so the plants absorb all of this really great pure nitrogen and absorb all those nutrients out of the water. And then the bed fills up with water and it drains back down to the fish. So the fish provide nutrients for the plants absorb the nutrients and then return fresh, clean water back to the fish. So it's a sustainable ecosystem that you create and balance and maintain. Well, as if it's too acidic, it's not good.
Michelle wants students to see that science isn't just for professors.
There's hands-on, fun, exciting learning that these kids get to take part in. And not only that, but they get to find out that this is a job. Most people think in order to be a scientist, you have to be in a certified lab somewhere with a PhD or be on the top floor of a skyscraper at a fancy engineering firm. They don't realize that you can be a scientist and an engineer in your backyard. Well, when you get out of here, since I'm not gonna see you back here, you're gonna come over to my farm and I'm gonna teach you how to do aquaponics, and then you can be a scientist, right? Okay.
And then I can get that $10.50 an hour?
As long as you keep going, it might be 12.
Michelle recently inspired an entrepreneur at another school where she teaches.
I have a student who breeds mealworms now because we breed mealworms to feed to our fish, and he fell madly in love with it. And now he's about to graduate high school and go to college. He's in the process of applying for colleges right now, and he wants to breed mealworms. And he actually wrote out a whole business plan for it, and I was really, really impressed.
She was saying that we're gonna start raising worms at the school. And I was like, you know what? I actually want to do that, because she started saying that you can make more money off the worms by selling to restaurants, to people who want to end up feeding their animals like chickens, turtles, anything really. And I told her I wanted to do that. I was gonna go buy some. And she said, you know what? I'll actually give you these worms right here, and they're already in this little box, and you can raise them on your own. I was like, really? So next thing you know, I got excited.
I'm really lucky. I'm really grateful that I get to be the one who comes in here and works with these students, because not only does it make a difference in the kids' lives and show them things that they would have never been able to be exposed to, but it makes a difference in my life, and it makes me feel really good, and it makes me feel accomplished and lets me know that this is worth it.
It's very fun and rewarding to learn new things for the youth, for myself, for the teachers, everyone. We love it.
For WFSU, I'm Rob Diaz de Villegas.
For more on the science of aquaponics and the sustainable agriculture in our area, visit the WFSU Ecology blog. It would be impossible for us to do a Local Roots show so focused on food that we didn't include Charles Renaud and A Fork in the Road. So get ready. A Fork in the Road looks at the area food and drink and the people and good times that come with it. Today, Charles is in Thomasville, Georgia, where he's enjoying one of his favorite things.
You know, at the end of the day, I'm tired of talking about ARMs and VA loans and market analysis. What I'd like to talk about is beer. Today we're at Liam's in Thomasville, Georgia, the guest of Scott and Rhonda Foster, and we're going to talk about beer in its most basic form. We'll meet with Jacob Odom and Elliot Glass, the founders of the Big Oak Brewery. Now, they're not Anheuser-Busch. Matter of fact, they're the polar opposite. But they know what it takes to start a brewery, how to market a brewery, and the steps we would need to take if we wanted to make beer to sell. Basically, it's my favorite subject, all about beer.
We caught up with Jacob and Elliot at the home that for now is doubling as their brewery.
Well, the story really starts a couple of years ago. My wife and I were at Fort Walton Beach with some friends of hers, and we went to a little brew pub down there called Props. And I instantly fell in love with the place. The beer was great, food was great, and I looked at Kayla at some point after we left there and we were getting ready to go home, and I looked at her and I said, you know, that's something Thomasville needs. Elliot, he had taken a similar trip, and he went to a craft beer place, and he got back and he was talking with his wife, and he had this similar thought. And just one day out of the blue, he texted me, he says, hey, you know, what do you know about starting a business? And I responded, I said, well, it depends. What kind of business are you wanting to start? And he said, well, I'm wanting to start a brewery. Okay, perfect. So let's get started on it. Let's get to work.
Elliot, can you walk us through? I've always heard of a brewery. What does it take to brew beer?
We could talk for hours about what it takes to make beer, but in simpler terms, it's about a 5-step process. You start out with a mash tun, is where you put your malts with some hot water. The hot water pulls the sugars out of the malts. From there, you'll sparge. That just means to wash the grains. You'll take the water that comes off of that with the sugar. It is now called wort. You'll boil it for an hour to an hour and a half. From there, you'll add your hops. That's what gives you your bitterness, as well as aroma and flavor. From the boil kettle, we'll chill it down. And then once we get to about 62, 63 degrees, we'll put it in our fermenters. Once it's in the fermenters, we'll add the yeast. The yeast takes about a week to ferment the beer. Sometimes it could take a little bit longer, depending on how much alcohol is in there. And then from there, we'll keg it, and then once it's in the keg, we'll carbonate it, and it's ready to serve in about 3 days. So the total amount of time is usually 3 weeks to a month.
Elliot and Jacob have been brewing beer for just over a year, and in that short time, they've become more than a homebrew operation. Now they want to take Big Oak to the next level, to make it a true microbrewery and a business. That is no small task.
But where we're trying to take this long term is we want to be a commercially viable business. And so we're looking at a 15-barrel setup, which a 15-barrel setup will produce 15 barrels of beer at a time, 31 gallons to a barrel. So you can do the math, well over 450 gallons of beer you're producing at a time. And so with that size with the setup, we're trying to look at around 3,000 barrel per year production. But the biggest hurdle to it is that typically before you can start getting your license, you have to meet a couple of criteria. And the two biggest ones are you have to have your location leased or bought. So you have to have a contract ready to show them that we have a location. It can't be residential. So we can't commercially do this here in a home. So it has to be zoned appropriately for manufacturing. And secondly, you have to have all of your equipment at least on order. You don't have to have it bought and installed yet, but you have to have contacted an equipment manufacturer, have a contract with them that we're going to buy equipment from you. So you have to have it ordered, which that in and of itself is a huge barrier because depending on the size of equipment you want, you're looking at several $100,000 of investment up front.
Of course, once they start brewing all that beer, Elliot and Jacob are going to want to sell it to us beer drinkers. That's where things get complicated. You see, the law says that breweries can't sell directly to bars, restaurants, and liquor stores. To do that, they have to go through a distributor. Now that may work for the big operations like Busch, but for small craft brewers like Big Oak, it's not really feasible. But like the song says, the times they may be a-changin'. This year, the Georgia legislature is considering a bill that would allow a small brewery like Big Oak to sell directly to the public.
But the current law would allow us to sell, from my understanding of how it's being proposed, is we would be able to sell up to 3,000 barrels out of a tasting area direct. So we can't self-distribute, we can't take kegs across the street or anything like that, but you could walk in and actually buy our beer
At your establishment.
Right,
Okay.
right. But we wouldn't be able to self-distribute or anything like that, but it would be 3,000 barrels a year, which just happened by coincidence. That's what we were trying to plan to produce anyway.
So now we've made the beer and we've got the business plan. How can someone taste the beer, taste the product, before you have it for sale?
Well, as you alluded to, we can't sell the product yet. We're not appropriately licensed. We're not even trying to sell it. We want to stay within the regulatory parameters as they are. But so all that we can do right now is just give it away. We've had a private event earlier this month in April that we gave a beer away at. We've got another private event coming up here at the end of the month where we're giving a beer away. And that's all that we can do with it right now. Our loss is your gain. And we're just doing it in hopes that we can find the right opportunities to take us to the next step.
Okay, so guys, I'm going to tell you, you found a niche in Thomasville, Georgia. I think it's its own market, and I wish you the best. I think you've got some good opportunities here. So I would like to end with one thing, though. If you ever need to give beer away, I know a guy. You know, Ben Franklin once said that beer is proof that God loves us and wants us to be happy. I'd like to thank our friends at Liam's, Jacob and Elliot at the Big Oak Brewery, and I'd like to thank you for joining us. I'm Charles Renaud, and we'll see you next time at the next Fork in the Road.
Since we shot this story, the bill Jacob referred to in the Georgia legislature that allows microbrewers to sell their beer direct to consumers passed. And Governor Nathan Deal is expected to sign it into law. That's good news for Big Oak Brewing and the 45 other microbreweries in Georgia. As I mentioned at the start of the show, the UF-IFAS Leon County Extension Office here in Tallahassee will be hosting a spring open house on Saturday, May 13th. Here are the details. There is quite a lot to see in the demonstration gardens at the Extension Office. They have 7 beds total, a vegetable garden, and 6 other beds with a variety of plants. Plus, there are orchards with peaches, citrus, and more. These gardens are maintained by their Master Gardener program. Each Master Gardener is a volunteer who has been through a year-long training program with the Extension Office. Many will be on hand to help answer your garden questions at the open house on May 13th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. You can learn more about the program or about a variety of other topics like Florida wildlife, landscaping, plant and tree identification, the 4-H chicken program, and more. For more information on the open house or on the Master Gardener program, go to leon.ifas.ufl.edu. Earth Day on April 22nd brought out a lot of people talking about the environment and other areas of science. Marches even took place around the country, including Tallahassee. Here's a quick look back at that event here in Tallahassee in video and pictures.
Our march today is a celebration of science and a demonstration of our fervent desire that science be allowed to continue enriching American society.
We must hold all policymakers accountable for implementing policies based on sound science.
We need people to get together. This march is a wonderful beginning, but it's just the beginning.
Remember, you can always find more local stories and episodes on our website. Go to wfsu.org/localroots. Also, like our Facebook page to stay up to date on our plans for future episodes. Thank you for joining us for this week's Local Roots. I'm Suzanne Smith at the UF-IFAS Leon County Extension Office in Tallahassee. For everyone at WFSU, thanks for watching. Have a great week, everyone.
Gulf winds blow through canopy roads all the way to Thomasville. The maiden names written on the land echo through the red clay hills, where the scent of longleaf floated pine reach up on past that Georgia line. Stroll through Tallahassee town or southern Appalachia bound. Take the local routes and journey down the roads we call our home. Take the local routes and journey down the roads we call our home.
Production support for Local Roots provided by